Hi class, in today's lesson we are going to learn about the different ways that we can represent a relation. So if you attended Friday's class meeting, we talked about the coordinate plane and how that would create a graph. So basically those graphs are considered relations. The definition of a relation is any set of ordered pairs. And on the front of this page, we defined what an ordered pair looks like. And it basically is a set of x and y values that make up a graph. Now, we have x values and y values, and we give each of these sets a specific name. So the set of all x values is called the domain, and the set of all y values is called the range. Now, we have 4 different ways that we can represent relations, and they are all shown here across the page. You notice that you have ordered pairs, which are sets of x and y values. We have a table, a mapping diagram, and a graph. Now, you'll notice in the first 2 examples, we are given a set of ordered pairs, and from that set of ordered pairs, we can identify the domain and the range. The domain, as we defined above, is the x values, and the range is the y values. So you want to look at your ordered pairs, and you will notice that you have 5 x values here. Now, when you write the domain and range, you want to write them from least to greatest. So I notice that I have a -3, and I actually have 2 -3s in this case. I will not repeat those when I write the domain, so I will write -3, then I have a -2, a +1, and a +3. And these numbers, you will notice, I got from each one of these ordered pairs, the first value in each of these. Now you put that domain as a list, and the proper technique is to put it in curly braces, but if you struggle to do that, it's not a big deal. Do your best to make those symbols. Now the range is the same idea. We're going to start a curly brace, and we're going to look for the smallest y value. In this case, I'm going to shift gears and I'm going to look at the second number in each parenthesis. So I have a -4 as my lowest value. I have a 0, a 1, a 2, and a 5. So those are my range numbers in this set of ordered pairs. Now, when we create our table, it's essentially taking the ordered pairs and just transferring them to an x and a y column. So you'll notice my first ordered pair is -3, 1. So I'll place a -3 in the x column and a 1 in the y column. Same thing for the next ordered pair. I'll place a -2 and a 0, a 1 and a 2, a 3 and a -4, and a -3 and a 5. This is just another way to represent these XY pairs if we create an XY table. Now the mapping diagram is a little bit different. You want to be careful with this because in the mapping diagram we will not have any repeating values. So I will put all of the x values on the left and all of the y values on the right. Well, if you look at our x column in the table, you'll notice we have 2 -3s. That means I will only write one -3 in the x column here, a -2, a 1, and a 3. In the y column, we did not have any repeating values, so I will keep all -4, 0, 1, 2, and 5 in the y column. Now to complete the mapping diagram, you need to identify what x value is paired with which y value. So I will have to draw an arrow from -3 to 1 because it's paired with a 1, and -3 to 5 because it is also paired with the 5. I'll then draw an arrow from -2 to 0, from 1 to 2, and from 3 to -4. This gives me the idea and would allow me to identify the ordered pairs that I need to place on my graph. The last thing that we could do is actually plot these points. So if I look at the point -3, 1, I go 3 units to the left, I go up 1, and I plot the first point. -2, 0, 2 units to the left and stay on the x-axis. 1, 2, I go 1 unit to the right, up 2, place that dot. 3, -4, I'm going down 4 units here. And then -3, +5 is the last point on the graph. Okay, now the next one is set up in a very similar way. If you want to take a minute and pause the video, now would be a good time to do that and give this second row a try all on your own. As we identify the domain, we should start with the smallest x value. In this case, it is -2. And they actually are in order the way they are written here. So -1, 0, 2, and 5 would be our x values here. None of them repeat, so we need to include all 5 numbers. Now, in the range, I notice -3 is the smallest, -2, -1, and we actually have 2 4s, so I will only write that 4 one time. Now in the table, I include all of the points, so -2, -3, -1, 4, 0, -2, 2, 4, and 5, -1. Again, as we place those numbers in our mapping diagram, the x values go on the left-hand circle, so -2, -1, 0, 2, and 5, and the y values go in the right-hand oval. Again, we do not put a repeating value in the mapping diagram. So the mapping diagram should look very similar to what you wrote out for your domain and range when we didn't repeat those values. So the last part would be to draw from -2 to -3, -1 to 4, 0 to -2, 2 would also go to 4, and then 5 to -1. The last representation is the graph, so we want to come back to our ordered pairs and we want to plot the point -2, -3, -1, +4, 0, -2, 2, 4, and 5, -1. Okay, now you'll notice in the last example here that there is not a set of ordered pairs given, all right? They actually have given us the points on the graph, and we need to write down each one of the ordered pairs that is given. So if I start here, I came 5 units to the left and down 4. That would be the point -5, -4. I then have the point -2, +3. From there, I have this point here on the y-axis at 0, -3. I then have the point all the way at the bottom, which is 2, -5. And the last one here, we came 4 units to the right and up 2 would be the corresponding ordered pair there. Now, based on that information, we can go back and fill in the table and the mapping diagram just like we had done for the other examples. So we list our domain first. We had nothing that repeated here, so we're going to need to include all of the x values, -5, -2, 0, 2, and 4. And same thing for the y values. There were no repeating y values, so we want to make sure we start with the smallest which is actually -5, then -4, -3, 2, and 3. Now, when you're filling out the table, be sure to go back to the points. You're not taking that from the domain and range. We are listing the x and y values together. So in this case, -5, -4, -2, 3, 0, -3, 2, -5, and 4, +2. Last but not least, we fill out the mapping diagram. And in this case, we will actually need every one of the x values and every one of the y values because there was nothing that repeated in this case. So I will connect -5 to -4, -2 to 3, 0 to -3, 2 to -5, and 4 to +2. Please make sure that you have properly completed each one of these representations so this makes sense to you. And we will continue to focus on relations, functions, and domain and range throughout the rest of the week.